Hello everyone, this is Praveen Kumar and welcome to the Hellers classes. In the last video, we started with the concrete technology subject. So this is the continuation part. In the last video, we discussed about the complete introduction to the concrete technology, which means in terms of history of that particular concrete technology, how the concrete has been evolved at the initial stages and what kind of concrete has been introduced or used in the past years. So now how that concrete has been introduced, in what type of forms, those things already been discussed in the previous video. So in this video I'm going to proceed with the one of the major ingredient of concrete, which is cement. So before going to discuss about the properties of cement and everything, we need to get a basic idea over the manufacturing of Portland cement. Basically, that Portland cement is made with the raw materials like calcareous materials and argillaceous materials, and calcareous materials such as limestone, chalk, and similarly argillaceous materials such as shale or clay. So argillaceous materials are generally contains silica content, and calcareous materials are generally exhibits minerals such as calcium. Similarly, the process of manufacturing is generally by grinding that calcareous and argillaceous materials into powder form and then mixed and burned at a temperature of 1300 to 1500 degrees centigrade temperature, and the materials sinter and partially fuses to form nodular shaped clinkers like a solid shape of aggregates or rock type of formations. So those are the clinkers. So this is how we are going to prepare clinker form of cement. Next, these clinkers are cooled and grounded into a powder form of formation, and there is certain amount of gypsum is also to be added to that particular cement proportion, which is about 3 to 5%, and the product formed by using this particular thing, as we can name it as Portland cement. And in the previous session we already discussed why that Portland name has been introduced for a manufactured cement of certain type. Before applying at 1300 to 1500 degrees centigrade in kiln, there are basically two different things that we can able to differentiate based upon the addition of water. So based upon the addition of water, the manufacturing processes are basically classified into two categories. Either it may be a wet process or dry process. The name itself indicates wet means we are going to add some little bit amount of water to mix that particular clinkers or the raw materials in a proper way, and the dry process is without adding any amount of water to the powder formation of raw materials. Directly we are burning at a temperature of 1300 to 1500 degrees centigrade. So with a little bit changes, the above two categories, irrespective of those two things, one more process is also there, that is semi dry process, and that raw materials are grounded dry and then mixed with about 10 to 14% of water and further burned to clinker temperature. And in general, in wet process we are adding about 50% of water to mix that raw materials properly and to get a proper way of cementing material. And in dry process requires much less fuel, as the materials are already in dry state. So they are already in dry state means, so no need of any addition of getting into dry formation. So the fuel requirement is also somewhat less. And whereas in wet process around 35 to 50% of water is added, and then that slurry will be heated at high temperatures, and then only we are going to get the dry product. And in India, most of the manufacturing processes are wet method only. So using wet method only we are producing a lot of amount of cement in India especially, While coming to the wet process, and this is a flow chart of wet process. So initially water is added to the clay, and the clay will be transferred to the wash mills, and after getting a proper mixing, these are stored in basins. Limestone is transferred to crushers, and after getting the powder form, again it is stored in basins. The wet processed clay and dry processed limestone mixed together in wet grinding mills to make a slurry, and blending up to slurry composition. Storage and that storage is collected in a slurry form, and few amount of powdered coal or oil or gas is applied to heat that particular slurry, and then it will be converted into a solid type of formation. After getting that slurry into clinkers, there are 2 to 3% of gypsum is added, and again it is transferred to ball mills, and then that powder form of cement is stored in silos, and then only it is transferred to units. And this is the way of dry process. Calcareous and argillaceous materials are converted into powder form without any addition of water, and these fine grinding materials are stored in two different storage basins and then mixed together in a possible way. After getting into a powder form and transferring it into a mixing in a correct proportion, and there is a preheating has been applied at 800 degrees centigrade, which is heated with a powdered form of coal or oil with the natural gas, and then it will be converted into clinkers formation. And after that, while powdering it into a grounded formation, there will be a 2 to 3% of gypsum is added to the dry mixture, which may be stored in silos, and then it will be transferred to packing unit. So that gypsum is generally added to control flash setting of cement. And this is the basic difference between wet process and dry process. Raw materials are been same, and initially and primary and secondary crushing is also been same. After getting into a powder formation of argillaceous and calcareous materials, the argillaceous materials are mixed with the water in wet process. In dry process, both the materials are added in dry process only. After getting into preheating technique in dry process, or by adding some amount of water to the wet process, these will be transferred to rotary kiln, and it will be applied with some amount of temperature, and then it will be transferred to clinker formation, and the clinkers are stored and grinded into a powder formation, and then a little bit amount of gypsum as well as fly ash is also been added, and that fly ash is also added for pozzolanic as a pozzolanic material, and then it will be transferred to the packing units. So next one, after getting the entire amount of cement, and there are something has been differed based upon the manufacturing methods, which means the chemical composition is not same for everything. So in general, while coming to the chemical composition, the raw materials are used for dry method, wet method or semi wet method. Everything will be same: lime, silica, alumina and iron oxide materials, and then it will be transferred into some complex compounds, which means some products are being formed from the manufacturing of cement, which is calcium oxide, silicon dioxide, aluminum oxide, ferrous oxide and magnesium oxide and alkalis. So these are the general things which are forming while manufacturing the cement, but for every cement this composition may not be same. But before that, there are some major products are being formed while this preparation of cement, so that in general, so here we can get The oxides present in raw materials when subjected to high clinkering temperature, which means it combines with each other and forms some complex compounds. So that compound complexes are complex compounds which are formed and identified based on RH box, which we are calling it as Bohr compounds, and that Bohr compounds are the major products are being formed while we are preparing the cement, and these are tricalcium silicate, dicalcium silicate, tricalcium aluminate, and tetracalcium aluminoferrate, and these are the major four compounds of while preparing these are the major four compounds while manufacturing of cement. So these are formulated to a short formation which is C3S, C2S, C3A, C4AF. These are the short-term formations of Bohr compounds. So next, and there are some equations are also been suggested by Bohr for the calculation of percentages of these Bohr compounds, and these equations may subjected to some differentiations, like for the calculation of C3S, and this is the formula for the calculation of how much amount of C3S has been formed, and similarly C2S and C3A, C4AF, which is tricalcium silicate calculation, dicalcium silicate calculation, and tricalcium aluminate calculation. Similarly, tetracalcium aluminoferrate calculations. And using these formulas, we can able to identify how much amount of percentages of these compounds has been formed while we are preparing that cement. Among these four Bohr compounds, each and every individual one is having their own properties, which means everything is not responsible for a single proportion. For example, tricalcium silicate and dicalcium silicates are the most important compounds responsible for strength. So almost we may get 70 to 80% of cement strength only because of the existence of tricalcium silicate and dicalcium silicate. So C3S and C2S are more responsible for the getting high strength and in earlier stages, and similarly the average C3S contents in modern cement is about 45%, and that of C2S is about 25%. So this C3S and C2S occupies about 70%, and the sum of contents of C3A and C4AF has decreased slightly in modern cements. So when compared with the previous cements which we are using, so for the latest version of cements we are somewhat reduce the amount of C3A and C4AF. The calculated quantity of compounds in cement varies greatly even for a relatively small changes in oxide composition of raw materials. Even if we change a little bit amount of that C3A and C3S and C2S, automatically the properties of cement may changes. An increase in lime content beyond a certain value makes it different combined with each compound, and free lime will exist in the clinker, which cause unsoundness in cement. So excess of lime is also one of the problem because unsoundness may be forms. An increase in silica content at the expense of content of aluminum and ferric oxide will make the cement difficult to fuse and form into clinkers. So if is there any excess amount of silica and aluminous or ferric oxides are existed, so the clinker formation will be somewhat problematic. Both Lee Chartier and Tornbaum observed four different kinds of crystals in thin sections of cement clinkers like RH Borg, and Tornbaum called these four kinds of crystals are alite, belite, salite, and phthalate. So therefore Bohr compounds generally we are calling it as C3S, C2S, C4AF and C3A are sometimes based on the Tornbaum classification, we can able to call these four Bohr compounds as halite, belite, salite, and likewise. And this is one of the basic chart responsible for the or which represents the manufacturing of cement and the compounds which are forming while manufacturing the cement. So raw materials are generally limestone, clay, shale, which is calcareous and argillaceous materials. And based on the preparation, compounds in raw materials, oxide, silica, calcium, aluminate, and ferrite. Oxide compositions in raw materials are also been formed while preparing or manufacturing the cement, that is CaO, SiO2, Al2O3, Fu2O3. So these are the some of the compounds are being formed while preparing, and after burning into clinker formation, the Bohr compounds are being formed, that is compound or complex compound compositions, which is tricalcium silicate, dicalcium silicate, tricalcium aluminate, and tetracalcium aluminum ferrate. And after getting into a grinding into clinker formation, the Portland cement is added with a little bit amount of gypsum, and after that we may get CSH gel as well as calcium hydroxide, and this will be discussed in the next video. Thank you.